The Sacramento Family Clinic buzzed with the rhythm of a late afternoon kids giggling in the waiting room, phones chirping at the front desk, the faint scent of coffee cutting through antiseptic air. Dr. Ethan Caldwell, his eyes shadowed by a grief he rarely spoke of, flipped through a patient chart when he saw her, Mia Torres, 15, hunched in a plastic chair, her loose white t-shirt swallowing her slight frame. The shirt's frayed hem trembled in her clenched fists, a shield against the world. Her father, Greg, stood too close, his hand heavy on her shoulder, his smile sharp as a blade. Mia flinched at his touch, her gaze locked on the floor, and Ethan's gut twisted. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. In the exam room, the ultrasound machine hummed to life, its screen flickering with a 28-week pregnancy and a baby's heartbeat, fragile with a defect that made Ethan's pulse race. A girl in fear, a child in danger, and a secret buried deep. What was Mia hiding? And why did that heartbeat carry the weight of a family's broken past Ethan? Caldwell leaned against the clinic's front desk, the weight of a long day settling into his shoulders. At 52, he'd built a reputation as Sacramento's go-to family doctor. His warm smile and sharp instincts earning the trust of a tight-knit suburban community. The clinic, nestled in a strip mall between a bakery and a hardware store, was a cornerstone of the neighborhood, a place where kids got their shots. Grandparents checked their blood pressure, and neighbors swapped stories over dog-eared magazines. Tonight, the waiting room was quieter, the late afternoon sun slanting through blinds, casting golden stripes on the walls adorned with crayon drawings from young patients. Ethan glanced at his watch, 45 p.m., and nodded to the nurse at the desk, Layla Martinez, who was sorting charts with the efficiency of someone who'd seen it all. Layla, in her early 30s, had joined the clinic 6 months ago, her social work background giving her a knack for spotting trouble beneath the surface. Her dark eyes flicked up, catching Ethan's gaze. Last patient of the day. Doc, she said, handing him a chart. Mia Torres, 15. Complaints of nausea, fatigue, and abdominal pain. Her dad's with her. Mia Torres, Ethan murmured, the name stirring a memory. He knew the Torres family. They lived 3 streets over in his cul-de-sac, where BBQs and block parties were as common as morning jogs. Greg Torres was the kind of guy who waved from his driveway. Always quick with a joke or a cold beer at neighborhood gatherings. Mia, though, was a ghost. Ethan could count on one hand the times he'd seen her outside, always trailing behind her father, head down, her presence as faint as a shadow. He pushed open the waiting room door, his white coat rustling, and scanned the space. There she was, Mia, curled into a chair in the corner, her loose white t-shirt draping her like a tent. The shirt was too big, its hem frayed, as if it belonged to someone else, a hand-me-down she used to hide herself. Her dark hair fell over her face, and her fingers clutched a small silver locket around her neck, twisting it nervously. Greg sat beside her, his broad frame filling the chair, his khaki shorts and polo shirt screaming, suburban dad. But his hand on Mia's shoulder was firm, almost possessive, and when she shifted slightly, his grip tightened. Ethan's stomach churned, a memory flickering, his sister, Emily, flinching under their stepfather's gaze years ago, her cries ignored until it was too late. Greg, Mia, Ethan called, forcing a smile. Didn't expect to see you folks today. He crossed the room, extending a hand to Greg, who stood and shook it with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. Doc, good to see you, Greg said, his voice smooth. Just a quick checkup for Mia. She's been under the weather. Ethan nodded, turning to Mia, who hadn't looked up. Mia, how you feeling? He asked gently, crouching slightly to meet her level. Her eyes flicked to him, then away, her fingers tightening on the locket. The t-shirt shifted, revealing a slight curve to her belly that made Ethan pause. She mumbled something inaudible, and Greg cut in. She's been nauseous, tired, some stomach pain, he said. His tone clipped. Probably just a bug, but I figured we'd get it checked. Let's head to the exam room, Ethan said, leading them down the hall. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, and the clinic's warmth felt suddenly stifling. Layla joined them, her clipboard in hand, her gaze lingering on Maya's tense posture. As they settled in the exam room, Ethan reviewed the chart, his brow furrowing. Nausea, fatigue, abdominal pain, no recent visits, no medical history to explain it. He glanced at Mia, who sat on the exam table, her t-shirt pooling around her hands folded protectively over her stomach. Mia, can you tell me more about the pain? Ethan asked, keeping his voice soft. She opened her mouth, but Greg spoke first. It's been off and on. Doc, nothing too bad, but she've been complaining a lot. His eyes flicked to Mia, a warning in them, and she shrank back, nodding silently. Layla stepped forward, her voice calm but firm. Mia, I need to hear from you. Okay, just tell me how you're feeling. She shot Greg a pointed look, and Ethan caught the tension in her jaw. Layla's past in social work had taught her to spot control, and Greg's dominance was setting off alarms. Mia hesitated, her fingers tracing the locket. It's sharp sometimes, she whispered, barely audible. In my stomach, and I'm so tired. Ethan nodded, his mind racing. The symptoms, her age, the way she hid her body under that t-shirt, it all pointed to something he dreaded. All right, Mia, let's do a quick ultrasound to check what's going on. Is that okay with you? She nodded, her eyes still on the floor. Greg shifted in his chair, his grin fading. Ultrasound? You sure that's necessary? Doc, it's probably just stress. Let's be thorough, Ethan said, his tone steady but firm. He powered up the ultrasound machine, its hum filling the room. Layla helped Mia lie back, gently lifting the loose t-shirt to expose her abdomen. Mia flinched at the touch, her breath hitching, and Ethan's heart sank. The gel was cold, the transducer gliding over her skin, and then the screen flickered to life. Grainy image appeared a fetus, small but unmistakable. At roughly 28 weeks, Ethan's breath caught, but it was the heartbeat that stopped him cold. The rhythm was irregular, a subtle defect signaling trouble. He adjusted the machine, his eyes narrowing. Mia, you're pregnant, he said carefully, watching her face. She didn't react, her gaze fixed on the ceiling, but Greg leaned forward, his jaw tight. Yeah, we know, Greg said, his voice low. She's got a boyfriend, teen stuff, we just need to make sure she's okay. Ethan ignored him, focusing on the screen. The fetus showed signs of intrauterine growth restrictions, smaller than expected for 28 weeks, and the heart defect. Likely tetralogy of Fallot, a condition he'd seen before. Its genetic markers raised a red flag, one that made his blood run cold. Incest could cause such mutations. And Greg's control, Mia's fear, painted a grim picture. Mia, this baby has a heart condition, Ethan said gently. It's called tetralogy of Fallot, but it's treatable with surgery after birth. We need to get you to a hospital for monitoring to make sure both of you stay healthy. Greg's eyes darkened. Hospital. We can handle this at home. Doc, no need to make a fuss. Ethan met his gaze, his voice firm. This isn't optional. Greg, the baby needs specialized care, and so does Mia. Layla's hand rested on Mia's shoulder, a quiet reassurance, but Mia's fingers tightened on her locket, her lips trembling. Ethan caught a glimpse of something in her eyes, fear, yes, but also a flicker of hope, like she was waiting for someone to see her. His mind flashed to Emily, her silence, her pain, and he knew he couldn't walk away. Ethan Caldwell stood frozen in the exam room, the ultrasound machine's hum fading into a dull buzz. The screen still glowed with the image of Mia Torres' 28-week-old fetus, its tiny heart beating irregularly. A silent alarm that screamed trouble. Tetralogy of Fallot, a congenital heart defect, treatable with surgery but serious enough to demand immediate action. The genetic markers' possible signs of incest twisted Ethan's gut. But it was Maya's silence that haunted him most. She lay on the exam table, her loose white t-shirt pulled back down, its frayed hem clutched in her trembling hands. Her dark eyes stared at the ceiling, distant, as if she were somewhere else entirely. Greg Torres, her father, loomed in the corner, his arms crossed, his jaw tight after Ethan's insistence on hospital care. Mia, Ethan said softly, stepping closer. Can you tell me how long you've been feeling this pain? He kept his voice gentle, hoping to draw her out. But Greg cut in before she could speak. Like I said, Doc, it's been a couple weeks, Greg snapped, his tone sharp enough to make Mia flinch. She's fine, just needs some rest. Maybe some vitamins. You don't need to blow this out of proportion. Layla Martinez, standing by the ultrasound machine, shot Ethan a look, her lips pressed thin. She'd seen this before, control masquerading as concern. Her years in social work had taught her to spot the signs the way Greg answered for Mia, the way he filled the room with his presence, leaving no space for her voice. Mr. Torres, Layla said, her voice calm but firm. We need Mia to answer. It's important for her care. She moved to Mia's side, her hand hovering near the girl's shoulder. A quiet offer of safety. Maya's fingers tightened on her locket, the silver glinting under the fluorescent lights. It's sometimes. She whispered, barely audible, like a knife in my stomach. And I'm dizzy a lot. Her voice cracked, and Ethan caught a flicker of something in her eyes, fear. Yes, but also a desperate plea, like she was testing whether he'd listen. Ethan nodded, his mind racing. The symptoms: nausea, fatigue, severe abdominal pain aligned with pregnancy complications, especially with the fetus's growth restriction and heart defect. But Maya's demeanor, the way she shrank under Greg's gaze, pointed to something darker. He thought of his sister, Emily, her averted eyes, the way she'd hidden her stepfather's abuse until it broke her. Ethan had been too young to help her, too naive to see the signs, and the guilt still gnawed at him, a wound that never healed. He couldn't let Mia slip through the cracks. Greg, Ethan said, turning to the man, his tone professional but unyielding. Mia's pregnancy is high risk. The baby's heart condition, tetralogy of Fallot means. We need to monitor both of them closely. The growth restriction could be due to placental issues, and Maya's pain suggests she's not getting enough nutrients. I'm recommending an immediate referral to Sacramento General for prenatal care and a surgical plan for the baby after birth. Greg's eyes narrowed, his grin gone. Surgery hospital stays. That's a lot, Doc. We're handling this. She's got a boyfriend, some kid from school. It's a family matter. His voice was smooth, but there was an edge to it, like a blade wrapped in velvet. Ethan's jaw tightened. A boyfriend, he'd never seen Mia with anyone. Never heard Greg mention a boy in all their neighborhood chats. The Torres house was a fortress, curtains always drawn. Mia rarely outside, and the genetic markers on the ultrasound, they didn't lie. Incest could cause defects like this, and Greg's control was starting to paint a horrifying picture. Mia, Ethan said, ignoring Greg, can you tell me about this boyfriend idol help us understand the baby's health? Mia's breath hitched, her fingers twisting the t-shirt's hem so tightly the fabric strained. She opened her mouth, but Greg leaned forward, his shadow falling over her. She doesn't need to talk about him, he said, his voice low. It's private, and we need this kept quiet. Doc, no neighbors, no gossip. You get that? Right. Ethan met Greg's gaze, his heart pounding. Patient confidentiality was standard, but Greg's insistence felt like a threat. Of course, Ethan said, keeping his tone neutral, but Maya's health and her baby's comes first. Layla, can you prep the ultrasound images and set up a telehealth consult with Dr. Tao? Layla nodded, her eyes flicking to Mia with quiet reassurance. On it, Doc. She moved to the machine, printing the images, her movements deliberate. Ethan needed a specialist input to confirm the heart defect's prognosis. And Dr. Naomi Chen, a pediatric cardiologist at Sacramento General, was the best. He also needed time to think, to piece together the puzzle of Maya's fear and Greg's dominance. As Layla worked, Ethan pulled up Mia's chart on his tablet, scanning for clues. No prenatal care, no prior visits for pregnancy symptoms, nothing beyond childhood vaccines years ago. For a 28-week pregnancy, that was alarming. He glanced at Mia, who was now sitting up, her t-shirt pulling around her, making her look smaller, younger. The locket glinted as she touched it, and Ethan wondered what it meant to her. Keepsake. A lifeline, his mind flashed to Emily's bracelet. the one she'd worn until the end, a gift from their mother she had clung to through the worst. He pushed the memory down. Focusing on Mia, Layla handed him the printed ultrasound images, her voice low. Dr. Chen's available in 10 minutes. I'll set up the call in your office. She hesitated, then added, something's off. Ethan, the way he won't let her talk, I've seen this before. A case in Oakland. A girl whose uncle. She stopped, glancing at Greg, who was checking his phone, oblivious to their exchange. Ethan nodded, his throat tight. I know. Let's get them out of here and talk after. He turned to Greg and Mia. We're going to consult a specialist to confirm the baby's condition. Mia, you'll need to lift your shirt again for a quick check of your vitals, okay? Mia nodded, her movements slow, as if she were moving through water. Layla helped her, her touch gentle, and Ethan noted how Mia relaxed slightly under her care. The vitals were concerning: elevated heart rate, low blood pressure, signs of malnourishment. As Layla recorded the numbers, Mia's hand slipped to her belly, a protective gesture that broke Ethan's heart. She was carrying a child she hadn't chosen, a child with a fragile heart, and yet she was trying to shield it. The telehealth call connected, and Dr. Naomi Chen's face appeared on the screen, her calm professionalism a balm to the room's tension. Ethan summarized the findings: 28 weeks. IUGR, tetralogy of Fallot, possible genetic anomalies. Naomi's brow furrowed as she reviewed the ultrasound images Ethan sent. The heart defect is treatable, she said, her voice clear, with surgery at 6 months. We see a 90% success rate, but the growth restriction and Mia's symptoms suggest she needs immediate prenatal care, nutrition, monitoring, possibly medication to improve placental flow. I'd recommend admitting her to Sacramento General tonight. Ethan glanced at Mia, who was listening, her eyes wide. For the first time ever. She looked at him directly, a spark of hope in her gaze, and his chest tightened. Thank you, Dr. Chen, he said. We'll arrange the referral. He ended the call, turning to Greg. Mia needs to go to the hospital now. They have the equipment and specialists to keep her and the baby safe. He'll write a prescription for prenatal vitamins and set up the transfer. Greg stood, his chair scraping the floor. Tonight. That's too fast. She's tired, Doc. We'll go tomorrow. First thing, his tone was placating, but his eyes were cold, calculating. Ethan's patience snapped. Greg, this isn't negotiable. The baby's heart is at risk, and Maya's pain could mean serious complications. Delaying could be dangerous. He handed Greg the prescription, his voice firm. The pharmacy next door is open. You can fill this while Layla helps Mia clean up. Greg hesitated, his gaze flicking to Mia, who sat motionless, her t-shirt slipping off one shoulder, exposing a thin collarbone. Fine, he muttered, taking the paper. But this stays between us. Doc, he strode out, the door clicking shut behind him. Layla moved to Maya's side, wiping the ultrasound gel from her abdomen with a soft cloth. You're doing great. Mia, she said gently, we're going to take care of you. Maya's eyes welled with tears, and she clutched her locket, her voice barely a whisper. She moves when he's near, she said, her words heavy with anguish. I hate that she feels him. Ethan's breath caught, the words slicing through him. Layla froze, her cloth pausing, and their eyes met, a shared alarm passing between them. That he wasn't a boyfriend, it was Greg. Mia's statement, raw and cryptic, hung in the air, a puzzle piece that made the picture horrifyingly clear. Ethan knelt beside her, his voice low. Mia, what do you mean you can tell us? But Mia's moment of openness vanished. She shook her head, retreating into silence, her fingers twisting the t-shirt's hem. Ethan's mind raced, replaying her words, searching for meaning. Was she angry at Greg for the pregnancy? Or was there something worse? Something his sister's memory screamed at him to see. He thought of Emily, her silence, the way she'd hidden her pain until it consumed her. He couldn't let that happen again. Layla touched Mia's arm, her voice soft. You're safe here, okay? We're not going anywhere. She handed Mia the ultrasound image, and Mia took it, her gaze fixed on the blurry shape, her thumb brushing the paper as if it were her baby's face. Through the exam room's glass panel, Ethan saw Greg returning from the pharmacy, his stride purposeful. The moment was lost. Layla helped Mia sit up, smoothing her t-shirt, and Ethan forced himself to compose his expression. "We'll get you to the hospital." "Mia," he said, his voice steady, "you and your baby are going to be okay." Greg pushed the door open, his eyes scanning the room. "All set?" he asked, his tone clipped. He took Mia's arm, guiding her off the table, his grip firm. Mia moved like a puppet, her t-shirt hanging loose, her locket glinting as they left the room. Ethan watched them go, a knot of dread tightening in his chest. As the clinic door swung shut, Layla turned to Ethan, her face troubled. "That was wrong," she said, gathering the ultrasound printouts. "The way he controls her, the way she froze when he came back. I worked a case like this in Oakland. Girl whose uncle got her pregnant. The genetic issues, the heart defect it fits." Ethan leaned against the counter, running a hand through his graying hair. "I know. I've seen it too. And my sister." His voice cracked, and he cleared his throat. The memory of Emily's broken smile flashing. She was abused, and I didn't see it until it was too late. Mia's words, she feels him. It's not just anger. It's something deeper. Layla nodded, her eyes soft with understanding. "What do we do? We can't force them to the hospital, but we can't let this go." Ethan's gaze drifted to the ultrasound machine. Its screen now dark. "We dig," he said, his voice resolute. "I'm going to check Mia's records, see if there's anything we missed. And there's Sophia, Mia's mom. She lives nearby, but Greg cut her off years ago. If anyone knows what's going on, it's her." Layla hesitated. "Contacting Sophia, that's a line. Ethan, you sure?" He thought of the locket, the way Mia clung to it, a lifeline to someone she had lost. He thought of Emily, her bracelet, her silence. "I'm sure," he said. "Mia's trying to tell us something. We just have to listen." As they closed the clinic, locking cabinets and dimming lights, the parking lot was nearly empty, the Sacramento sky bruising purple with dusk. Ethan climbed into his sedan, his mind replaying Mia's words, her fear, the t-shirt that hid her pain. He pulled out of the lot, his headlights cutting through the twilight, and turned toward his neighborhood. The Torres house, 3 streets away, stood dark, its curtains drawn. They hadn't gone to the hospital. Ethan's grip tightened on the wheel. Mia was out there, trapped, her baby's fragile heart beating under that loose white t-shirt. He couldn't save Emily, but he could save Mia. He just needed to find the truth. Ethan Caldwell's sedan rolled slowly down the quiet streets of his Sacramento neighborhood. The dashboard clock glowing 9:15 p.m. The Torres house, 3 streets from his own, loomed ahead, its windows lit but curtains drawn tight, a fortress against the world. Had driven past it twice since leaving the clinic, his mind churning with Mia's words. She moves when he's near. I hate that she feels him. The ultrasound image, loose fragile heart, the genetic markers whispering incest, haunted him, as did the memory of his sister, Emily, her silence a wound Ethan carried like a scar. Mia hadn't gone to the hospital, and Greg's lie about handling it was a red flag Ethan couldn't ignore. His grip tightened on the wheel, his resolve hardening. Had failed Emily, but he wouldn't fail Mia. He parked a block away, the cool night air biting as he stepped out. The suburban street was silent, save for the hum of sprinklers and the distant bark of a dew. Ethan's heart pounded as he approached the Torres house. Its manicured lawn and neatly trimmed hedges, a stark contrast to the dread pooling in his chest. He hesitated at the front door, rehearsing what he'd say, him checking on Mia, making sure she's okay, but the weight of what he suspected made his hand tremble as he knocked. The door creaked open, and Mia stood there, her loose white t-shirt hanging off her slight frame, the frayed hem brushing her thighs. Her dark eyes widened, a flicker of hope breaking through her fear. She clutched her locket, the silver glinting in the porch light, but her glance darted over her shoulder. "Nervous, Caldwell," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "Mia," Ethan said gently, keeping his voice low. "Did you go to the hospital?" He searched her face, noting the shadows under her eyes, the way her t-shirt seemed to swallow her, a shield against the world. She shook her head, her fingers tightening on the locket. Before she could say more, Greg's voice boomed from inside. Mia, who's at the door? Is that the pizza guy? What's taking so long? His tone was sharp, commanding, and Maya's face paled, her breath hitching. Ethan's pulse raced, but he kept his tone calm. Mia, I can help you. Tell me what's happening. He stepped closer, his hand hovering near the door to keep it open. Mia's eyes darted to the hallway, then back to Ethan. In a swift, desperate move, she reached into her t-shirt's oversized pocket and pressed a small USB drive into his hand, her fingers trembling. It's for Luce, she whispered, her voice cracking. Save us. Her eyes, wide with fear and trust, locked onto his, and Ethan's heart lurched. Luce, the name she had given her baby, a beacon of light in her darkness. Before he could respond, heavy footsteps echoed inside, and Maya's expression shifted to panic. Please go, she breathed. Pushing the door shut, Ethan slipped the USB into his jacket pocket, his mind racing as the door clicked closed, leaving him alone on the porch. The weight of the drive burned in his pocket, a lifeline Mia had risked everything to give him. He turned to leave, his footsteps quickening, but the door swung open again. Greg stood in the doorway, his broad frame filling the space, his eyes dark with annoyance. Caldwell, he said, his voice tight, a forced smile not reaching his eyes. What's with the late-night visit? Something wrong? Ethan steadied himself, his professional mask slipping into place. I was concerned about Mia, he said, his tone even. You didn't take her to the hospital, and her condition, the baby's heart defect, is serious. I wanted to make sure you understood the urgency. Greg's jaw clenched, his smile fading. You're checking up on me, he said, stepping onto the porch, his voice low. Who Mia sees. Where we, Godhats, not your business. Doc, she's my daughter. As her doctor. Her health is my business, Ethan countered, his voice firm. The baby's heart condition could worsen without monitoring. Delaying could mean complications or worse. Greg's eyes flicked to the street, where a neighbor's porch light flickered on. Mrs. Delaney, the retired teacher who'd mentioned Mia's drawings, peered through her window, her silhouette curious. Greg's demeanor shifted, his voice suddenly conciliatory. Look, let's not make a scene, he said, gesturing toward the house. Come inside. We'll talk. No need to wake the whole neighborhood. Ethan hesitated, the USB drive heavy in his pocket. Going inside was a risk, but it might give him a chance to see Mia, to gauge the situation. He nodded, stepping into the living room. The space was sparse, a worn couch, a coffee table, a TV mounted on the wall. Mia sat on the couch, her t-shirt slipping off one shoulder, her hands folded over her belly, eyes fixed on the floor. Ethan's chest tightened at the sight of her. So small, so trapped. Mia, you okay? He asked softly, ignoring Greg's looming presence. Greg answered before she could. She's fine, just tired. Pregnant girls need rest, right, Doc? His tone was light, but his eyes were cold, daring Ethan to push further. Ethan sat across from Mia, his voice steady. Mr. Torres, the ultrasound showed intrauterine growth restriction and a heart defect. These are serious. Mia needs hospital care tonight, not tomorrow. Every hour matters. Greg waved a hand, dismissive. We'll get there, Doc. First thing in the morning. She's exhausted, and dragging her to the ER now won't help. He gestured to the clock, 30 p.m., his smile returning. Calculated. Ethan's frustration boiled, but he kept his cool. The baby could be in distress. Greg, Luce deserves a chance. He used Mia's name for the baby deliberately. Watching her reaction, Mia's head lifted slightly, her eyes meeting his, a spark of gratitude flickering before she looked away. The doorbell rang, shattering the tension. Greg's shoulders relaxed. That's the pizza, he said, turning to Mia. Stay here with the doc. He'll grab it. He strode to the door, rummaging in his pocket for cash, his back to them. Ethan seized the moment, leaning closer to Mia. Are you safe? He whispered. Is there something you need to tell me? Mia's breath hitched, her fingers trembling on her locket. She glanced at Greg, who was haggling with the delivery guy, then reached under her t-shirt, pulling out a folded piece of paper, child's drawing of a mother and daughter under stars. The same one Mrs. Delaney had mentioned. She pressed it into Ethan's hand, her voice a desperate whisper. More in the basement. Help us. Ethan slipped the drawing into his pocket with the USB, his heart racing. You're so brave. Mia, he whispered, it'll get you out. Greg returned, a pizza box in hand, his eyes narrowing as he saw Ethan's proximity to Mia. What's going on? He asked, his tone sharp. Mia was saying she's hungry. Ethan improvised. Standing. That's good. She needs nutrition for Luce. He forced a smile, his mind screaming with the weight of Mia's trust. Greg set the pizza on the table, his demeanor shifting to dismissive. See, I'm a good dad, he said, clapping Ethan's shoulder. I take care of her, now. Doc, it's late. Pregnant girls need sleep. Right, bad for the baby if she's stressed. Ethan recognized the brush off, his options dwindling. Rest is important, he conceded, but so is medical care. He'll check in tomorrow to confirm the hospital visit. His words were a promise he wouldn't let this drop. Greg's smile didn't reach his eyes. Sure thing, Doc. Good night. He opened the door, his gesture final. Ethan stepped outside, glancing back through the window. Mia sat at the table, the pizza box open, her t-shirt slipping as she stared at her lap. Motionless. Greg was talking, his hands animated, but Mia was a statue, her locket glinting like a beacon. Ethan's chest ached as he walked to his car, the USB and drawing burning in his pocket. Back home, Ethan locked his door, his hands shaking as he pulled out the USB and plugged it into his laptop. The screen flickered, revealing a folder labeled Loose. He clicked, and his breath caught. Videos, dozens of them, recorded on a hidden nanny cam, showed Greg's abuse, his voice low and menacing, Mia's face etched with fear. The footage was damning, each frame a gut punch, confirming Greg as Lou's father. Ethan's stomach churned, rage and grief colliding. Then he opened a video titled For Mom. Mia's face filled the screen, her t-shirt slipping off one shoulder, her locket clutched tightly. Mom, she whispered, tears streaming. I kept your locket. I read your letters when he wasn't looking. I named her Luce, for light, because she's innocent. She has a heart problem, but Dr. Caldwell says she can be fixed. I want her to know your song. Estrelita, I'm scared, but I'm trying to be brave. Please find me. She sang a shaky verse of Estrelita, her voice breaking, and Ethan's eyes burned, his sister's memory flooding back. Emily singing a lullaby, her voice fading into silence. The truth crashed over him like a wave. Greg wasn't just Mia's father. He was her abuser, Lou's father, a predator hiding in plain sight. Mia's words in the clinic, I hate that she feels him, took on a horrifying new meaning. Luce kicked when Greg was near, and Mia despised the connection. A bond forged by trauma. Ethan's hands trembled as he reached for his phone. Dialing 911, emergency services, the dispatcher answered. What's your emergency? I'm reporting child abuse and endangerment, Ethan said. His voice steady despite the storm inside. A 15-year-old girl, 28 weeks pregnant, with a heart defect in her baby. The father is the abuser. She needs immediate help at 1427 Maple Drive. As he waited for the police, Ethan copied the videos to his cloud, ensuring the evidence was safe. He pulled out Maya's drawing, its crayon stars vivid, a mother and daughter holding hands. His thoughts turned to Sophia, Mia's mother, who'd been cut off by Greg. He opened his laptop, navigating to Facebook, and found Sophia Torres' profile, her photo a mirror of Mia's eyes. His fingers hovered over the keyboard, professional boundaries warring with urgency. He typed a message, Miss Mrs. Torres. I am Dr. Ethan Caldwell. Maya's doctor. She needs you. Please call me. He sent it, his heart pounding. Minutes later, his phone buzzed a call from Sophia. Dr. Caldwell. Her voice was frantic, raw with worry. What's wrong with Mia? Is she hurt? Ethan took a breath, choosing his words carefully. Sophia, Mia came to my clinic today. She's pregnant, 28 weeks, with a heart defect in the baby. I've called the police because I believe Greg is abusing her. She gave me evidence, and they're heading to the house now. A choked sob came through the line. Oh my God. Sophia whispered, I knew something was wrong. He took her from me, got custody after my addiction. I've been clean 3 years, but he blocked me, my baby. I'm coming now. Sophia, let the police handle it first, Ethan urged, but be ready. Mia needs you. He ended the call, pacing his living room. The USBs weighed a reminder of Mia's courage. He checked the window, watching for police lights, his mind racing with the videos. Maya's song, her desperate trust. Suddenly, his phone buzzed again, a text from Mrs. Delaney. The neighbor, lights flashing at Torres' house. Police are there. What's happening? Ethan's heart leapt. He grabbed his jacket, the drawing and USB secure in his pocket, and ran outside. The night air was cool, the street alive with red and blue lights. 3 police cruisers lined the block, officers moving with purpose toward the Torres house. Ethan approached the lead officer, a tall man with a stern face. I'm Dr. Ethan Caldwell, he said, breathless. I made the call. Mia Torres is inside, 15 pregnant, in danger. I have evidence. He handed over the USB, explaining the videos. Mia's words, the heart defect. The officer, Detective Ramirez, nodded grimly. Stay here, doctor. We're going in, he signaled his team, who fanned out around the house. Ethan watched, his pulse hammering, as Ramirez knocked on the door, announcing, Sacramento police open up. No response. The officers exchanged glances, and Ramirez knocked again. Louder. Still nothing. Ethan's dread grew. Visions of Mia's frightened eyes flashing. Then, a shout from the back of the house. Movement inside garage doors locked. Ramirez spoke into his radio, and moments later, an officer reported, suspect and victim in the garage, smell of gasoline. Ethan's blood ran cold. Gasoline Greg was cornering himself, and Mia was trapped. The officers moved swiftly, one bringing a battering ram to the garage door. Ethan strained to see, his heart in his throat. A faint sound carried through the night, Mia's voice, trembling but clear, singing Estrelita. The lullaby was soft, a desperate anchor, and Ethan's eyes burned. She was calming herself, fighting to survive. With a crash, the garage door splintered and officers surged inside. Shouts erupted, police hands up, followed by a scuffle. Ethan glimpsed Mia, her t-shirt stark white in the chaos, stumbling out a side door shed unlocked, her hands cradling her belly. An officer caught her, guiding her to safety, while others tackled Greg, his curses drowned by the chaos. Ethan ran forward, ignoring the officer's warning. Mia, he called. Reaching her as paramedics arrived, she collapsed against him, sobbing, her t-shirt damp with sweat, her locket glinting. Luce. She gasped. Is Luce okay? You're safe, Mia, Ethan said, his voice thick. We're getting you to the hospital. Luce is going to be okay. He held her gently, her courage breaking his heart. As the police cuffed Greg, his face contorted with rage, and led him to a cruiser. A car screeched to a halt, and Sophia Torres leapt out, her face streaked with tears. Mia, she screamed, pushing past an officer. Maya's head snapped up, her eyes finding her mother. Mom, she whispered, reaching out, and Sophia ran to her, enveloping her in a hug, their sobs mingling as Estrelita echoed in Ethan's mind. The Sacramento night pulsed with flashing lights, police cruisers and ambulances casting a frenetic glow over the Torres house. Mia Torres leaned against Dr. Ethan Caldwell, her loose white t-shirt damp with sweat, her locket glinting as she clutched her mother. Sophia, in a tear-streaked embrace. The paramedics swarmed, their voices calm but urgent, as they guided Mia to a stretcher, checking her vitals. Her hands cradled her belly, protecting Luce, the baby with a fragile heart shed named for light. Ethan stood close, his heart still racing from the garage standoff, Greg's threats, the stench of gasoline, Mia's trembling, voice singing Estroida to steady herself. Greg was gone now, handcuffed and shoved into a police cruiser, his curses fading as the door slammed shut. Mia, you're safe, Ethan said, his voice thick with relief. We're taking you to Sacramento General. Luce is going to get the care she needs. Mia nodded, her eyes locked on Sophia, who held her hand, sobbing softly. The reunion was raw, a lifeline reknotted after years of separation. Mom, Mia whispered, her voice breaking. You came. I never stopped trying, Sophia said, kissing her daughter's forehead, her own locket a match to Maya's gleaming. I'm here now, baby, always. Ethan stepped back, giving them space. As the paramedics loaded Mia into the ambulance, I'm her doctor, he told the lead paramedic. A wiry man with steady hands. I'd like to ride along, if that's okay. Hop in? Doc, the paramedic said. We could use your input. Ethan climbed in, sitting opposite Sophia, who never let go of Maya's hand. The ambulance sped through Sacramento's quiet streets, its sirens slicing the night. Ethan used his stethoscope to check Mia's vitals. Noting her elevated heart rate but stable breathing, he listened to Lou's heartbeat, the irregular rhythm still present but strong. The baby's holding on. He told Mia, his voice gentle, the hospital will take it from here. Mia's eyes, red from tears, flickered with hope. Shell'll be okay. Her heart, you said it can be fixed. We'll make sure of it, Ethan promised, his thoughts drifting to the ultrasound, the tetralogy of phallic diagnosis, and Dr. Naomi Chen's assurance of a 90% surgical success rate. Sophia stroked Mia's hair, humming a soft verse of Estroita, the lullaby that had carried them through years apart. Ethan's chest tightened. Memories of his sister, Emily, singing a different lullaby in their childhood home. Her voice silenced too soon. Mia and Sophia's bond, fragile but unbroken, was a redemption he hadn't found for Emily. At Sacramento General, an obstetric team led by Dr. Naomi Chen was waiting in the ER bay. Ethan briefed her as they wheeled Mia into an exam room. 28 weeks, IUGR, tetralogy of phallic, he summarized. Severe abdominal pain, malnourishment, possible trauma from the incident. She's been through hell. Naomi nodded, her calm professionalism grounding the chaos. We'll take it from here. Ethan, you did good getting her out. She turned to her team, ordering a full workup ultrasound, vital monitoring, blood tests. Ethan followed, staying near Sophia, who clutched Mia's old drawing of a mother and daughter under stars, her knuckles white. In the exam room, Mia lay propped on pillows, her t-shirt folded neatly on a chair, replaced by a hospital gown. The shift felt symbolic, as if she were shedding the weight of hiding. Fetal monitors beeped rhythmically, and Naomi reviewed the new ultrasound, her expression focused. Loose heart defect is stable, she reported. The tetralogy is manageable with surgery at 6 months. Mia, your nutrition and stress have impacted growth, but we're starting you on a high-calorie diet and prenatal supplements. With monitoring, Luce has a strong chance. Mia's hand rested on her belly, her locket glinting against the gown. I want to keep her, she said quietly, her voice firm despite her exhaustion. She's Luce. She's mine, not his. Sophia's eyes welled, and she squeezed Mia's hand. We'll raise her together. Mija, you, me, and Luce shall know love. I promise. Her voice broke, and Ethan saw the weight of her past addiction, losing custody lift slightly, replaced by fierce determination. Ethan stepped into the waiting area, where Detective Ramirez and a Child Protective Services worker, Lisa Tron, were arriving. Dr. Caldwell, Ramirez said, his face grim. We need your statement. The USB videos are conclusive. We found a hidden room in the basement cameras. Photos, evidence of years of abuse. Ethan's stomach churned, but he nodded, recounting the day Mia's fear, Greg's control, the ultrasound, that USB, the garage, Mia's comment in the clinic. I hate that she feels it was about Greg. He's Lou's father, the heart defect, the genetic markers, it all fits. Lisa, the CPS worker, scribbled notes. Well, ensure Mia's safety. Miss Torres, we need to discuss custody. She turned to Sophia, who joined them, her eyes red but resolute. I am her mother, Sophia said, her voice steady. I've been clean 3 years, working as a nurse's aide, saving for a place with a room for Mia. I fought for her, but Greg's restraining order shut me out. I'm ready to take her home. Lisa nodded. Well, evaluate your home. But given the circumstances, reunification looks promising. Mia's wishes will weigh heavily. She paused, softening. She's lucky to have you. Before they could continue, Naomi emerged from the exam room. Mia stable, she said. Lou's heart is holding steady, and we've started steroids to boost lung development. Mia's malnourished, showing signs of chronic stress, but she's responding well. The next few weeks are critical. But I'm optimistic. Can we see her? Sophia asked, clutching the drawing. She's asking for you, Naomi said, glancing at Ethan. And you, Dr. Caldwell. She says you saved her life. The hospital room was dim, the monitor's steady beeps a comforting rhythm. Mia sat up, her locket resting against her gown, a spark of resilience in her eyes. Sophia approached, tentative, as if afraid Mia might vanish. Mija, she whispered, taking her hand. My brave girl. Mia's eyes filled with tears. Mom, you came back. She reached for Sophia, their lockets clinking as they hugged. A sound of reunion. Ethan stood at the foot of the bed, giving them space, his heart full yet heavy with Emily's memory. Thank you, Dr. Caldwell, Mia said, her voice stronger, for seeing me, for believing me. You're the brave one. Mia, Ethan replied, his voice thick. You saved yourself and Luce. Never forget that. Sophia looked at Ethan, tears streaming. You gave me my daughter back, she said when everyone else looked away. You didn't? Ethan nodded, unable to speak, his thoughts on Emily, on the chance he'd given Mia, as he stepped toward the door. Mia called out, wait. She hesitated, then smiled faintly. Will you check on Luce? Make sure her heart's okay. Always, Ethan promised. His voice catching, he left the room, the weight of the night settling, but a quiet peace taking root. The next morning, Ethan returned to the hospital, a small gift in Honda toy stethoscope for Mia, a symbol of her strength and loose future. He found her in her room, sketching stars on a notepad, Sophia at her side. The loose white t-shirt was gone, replaced by a fitted hospital shirt, a sign of Mia's emerging confidence. Sophia was humming Estrellita, and Mia joined in, their voices soft but sure. Outside, the Sacramento community was stirring. Mrs. Delaney, the neighbor, had organized a fundraiser. Kids from Maya's old school contributing crayon drawings of stars and hearts. A quilt, stitched with star patterns, arrived from the neighborhood, delivered with casseroles and notes of support. The gestures, small but profound, wrapped Mia and Sophia in a warmth that felt like home. Ethan handed Mia the stethoscope. For you, he said, smiling, to listen to Luce's strong heart. Mia's eyes lit up, her fingers tracing the toy. Thank you, she said, her voice steady. I'm going to sing to her every day. She'll know she's loved. As Ethan left, he glanced back, seeing Mia and Sophia bent over the sketch, their lockets glinting, their laughter a fragile but growing light. Greg's trial loomed, the USB videos ensuring justice. But Mia was free. Lou's heart a promise of healing, the community's love, the stars in my the song binding mother and daughter was enough to carry them forward. The Sacramento dawn crept over the horizon, painting the sky a tender pink as I pulled into my driveway. The engine's hum faded, leaving only silence. The weight of the night heavy in my bones. Mia Torres' trembling voice echoed in my mind. Her loose white t-shirt slipping off one shoulder, frayed and oversized, a shield for her fear. Her locket, etched with always yours, glinted as she sang Estrelita Toulouse, her baby, named for light despite a fragile heart. The Torres house, now a crime scene, stood behind the yellow police tape, a grim monument to the horror hidden in our cul-de-sac. I sat in my car, the dark wrapping around me, and let the lessons of the night settle. Medicine trains us to fix bodies mend fractures, prescribe cures, monitor heartbeats. But Mia showed me it's about seeing the person, the pain they bury, the whispers they dare not speak. Her t-shirt hid a pregnancy, a trauma, a courage that burned bright. Her locket tied her to Sophia, a mother who clawed her way back from addiction to hold her daughter again. And her song, that shaky lullaby amidst gasoline and rage, was a beacon that refused to dim. I think of my sister, Emily, her bracelet like Maya's locket, her silence a cry I missed until she was gone. I couldn't save her. But Mia got her chance because I listened, because Layla saw, because a community wove a star-patterned quilt and sent casseroles, because Sophia never gave up. Those kids' crayon drawings, Mrs. Delaney's fundraiser, the neighbors' quiet kindness, they're proof that love, in its smallest acts, can heal what monsters shatter. Mia sketching stars now, her art a path to healing, her voice promising loose lullabies through surgery and beyond. Lou's heart, treatable with hope and medicine. Beat strong, a testament to a girl who named her light in the dark. I gave Mia a toy stethoscope, a small gesture. But to me, it's her strength listening to Lou's heart, knowing she's strong. 2, if you see a frayed t-shirt hiding pain, hear a whisper in a crowd, feel a tug in your gut, don't look away, ask the question. Make the call. One moment of courage can light the darkest night. Just like Maya's song did for Luz, for Sophia, for me. Stories like hers remind us to act, to care, to see. If this moved you, hit that like button, subscribe, and share it helps spread the light so others might listen, too. In the end, it's not just about saving lives, it's about helping their light shine.